Hello, thank you very much for taking the time to join us today. I'm John Ruckowitz with Mid-Atlantic Global. I want to thank Mid-Atlantic Machinery, Southern States Machinery, and Northeast Machinery for hosting this event. Those three companies are sister companies. They represent different geographical areas. Sister company also to Mid-Atlantic Global. Mid-Atlantic Global's mission is to identify and import solutions, innovative solutions of high quality into the United States to help American manufacturing. What we have is FINISHLINE. FINISHLINE is truly an all-in-one metal finishing machine. We import this machine from the Czech Republic. The company that manufactures FINISHLINE has been manufacturing finishing machines since 1921. The process of finishing, that secondary process, can be time-consuming and create such a bottleneck on a manual process. It'll be inefficient, time-consuming, and just inconsistent. That's where FINISHLINE steps in. It's truly a remarkable asset when you implement that into your production. Right out of the gate with FINISHLINE, you will see dramatic increase in your throughput. You'll have all the additional capabilities, and you'll have part quality consistency. Again, with one investment and one relatively small footprint, you have the ability to deburr your stubborn vertical burrs. You have the ability with the top brush cartridges for edge rounding, lateral burr removal, oxide removal, deslagging, and also with another abrasive belt, you have the ability to grain. The differences between the two abrasive belts, they operate the same, but the contact roller is different. The deburring head contact roller is 70 Shore, much harder, therefore it knocks down the stubborn vertical burr. And the graining head contact roller is much softer. It's 35 Shore. And that ensures equal and consistent touch across the top surface of the part when you're trying to apply a finish to that part. Now, speaking specifically to the top brushes and how they're able to achieve the different capabilities of edge rounding, or lateral burr removal, oxide removal, and deslagging, there are different brushes associated. Here we have an example of an edge rounding brush. This happens to be a gray 120 grit brush. It's Scotch material, also sequenced with aggregate. As I mentioned, it's 120 grit, and this Scotch material consistency is perfect for working with the softer material of aluminum and also getting into smaller perforations. There are other brushes. As an example, this gold brush, which is 60 grit. The Scotch material is much more coarse, much more dense, therefore it's far more aggressive on the outer edges of your part, but it's not going to get into the small perforations. So in between this and the gray, there's a wide range of brushes to accommodate all those different needs that you might see for finishing parts. Also, we have oxide removal brushes. Again, all utilizing the same top brush cartridge, but just applying different media for that purpose. One last brush I'd like to show you, or it's actually not a brush, but it's a cleat, a deslagging cleat. Pins, which mechanically remove the heavy dross for a part coming off of a plasma table. So again, how universal and flexible the FINISHLINE machine is by just changing the media within the top brush cartridge. In addition to that, FINISHLINE has incorporated into it production-friendly features and options. One being the quick removal of the abrasive belts. Simply remove the pressure, remove the rosette, and slide your belt out, and then simply slide the new one back in, and then apply pressure. What I'd like to show you right now is how quickly and how effectively you can remove the brushes. So if you come around to the other side of the machine, I'll show you what's necessary to remove 2 V-belts to give us access and free movement to pull this cartridge out this side of the machine. Each working unit has its own individual motor, And right here are the two V belts that I was referring to. Simply release the air pressure. And now we'll walk to the other side of the machine. I'll open this door. Remove. Roll-on slide tray fully removes the entire cartridge outside of the framework of the machine, giving you access to all the brushes. The way the brushes work on this machine is that there's a single chain that drives the brushes. One row is clockwise, the other row is counterclockwise. Now, in order to remove the brush, you must make them stationary, and I'll show you how to do that. There are two shafts, an external and an internal shaft for each of the brushes. Simply line up the shafts, use your pin, insert, stationary, remove. Each brush is designed to fit into the optional quick release adapter, which again gives you that ability to swiftly remove a brush without the need of a tool, just by hand, a quarter turn in one direction, quarter turn in the opposite direction to replace. It's as simple as that. So in about a minute's time, you can swap out an entire set of brushes and get right back into production. Remove your pin and you're free to go. Come on now. There we go. Slide this back in. Put the fasteners back on. And then we'll just have to go to the other side of the machine and replace those belts. One thing I'd like to mention about FINISHLINE, in how flexible it is in terms of the working units, it's also available in different widths. 25.5 inches wide, 43 inches wide, and 51 inches wide. The machines can be built with 2, 3, 4 heads. Just that has to apply to what your particular needs are. They're all independently controlled, and I'll walk you through the touchscreen control as well to show you the intuitive nature of that HMI and how flexible it is with all the variable speeds that you have control over. I'm going to go back on the other side and put the V-belts back on. Simply replace, put them back in the groove, apply the pressure, and you're all set. Let me grab the key. So let's take a look at the HMI. Another fantastic feature of FINISHLINE is the swivel control that gives you the ability to control the machine on the feed side as well as the clear door side. That is a standard feature of FINISHLINE, which gives you the ability to easily monitor part progress as it moves through the machine. Also, illumination within the machine gives you clear line of sight for the part as it moves through the machine. As you see, this particular unit, this machine is a 4-head, 43-inch wide machine. It's our most popular size in width and also configuration with working units. And as you see the working units front to back, they're represented left to right on the touchscreen control. Icons easily identify what the working unit is: conveyor belt, abrasive belt for deburring, edge rounding, and graining. All variable speed, as I mentioned. 1.6 to 33 feet per minute for your conveyor table speed. 1,400 to 3,550 surface feet per minute for your belts. 460 to 1,500 RPM. So again, wide range, give you the ability to dial in the parameters to get the finish that you're looking for. What you have here is that you have to turn them on. When it's red, it's off. Green would be on. So again, independently controlled. You can just deburr if you'd like. You could deburr and edge round with one or both of the top brushed units. You can actually grain in a single pass as well. It depends on the finish that you're looking for. But again, you have that control within FINISHLINE to dial it in one or all working units at a time and with the variable speeds. Then it's a process of engaging those working units down into the part. The way FINISHLINE works is that the table will actually go up and down to accommodate for the part thickness. You can work on parts as thin as 20 thou and as thick as 6 inches. So the table will go up and down to get to that perfect elevation for the top surface of the part based on its thickness. Then you would engage the working units that you choose to use. Once you dial in those parameters, you even have the option of saving that as a recipe or a program within FINISHLINE. 250 programs can be saved within FINISHLINE, giving you the ability to quickly call back every single parameter that you use to achieve that successful run. With that also, if you choose the optional vacuum table, you have the ability to turn on the vacuum table and also the dust collector from this touchscreen control. Conveyor tables are a standard Hypalon material. They're vacuum, as this machine has. There's magnetic, and there's magnetic and vacuum combination. So again, flexible in terms of the offerings, giving you the machine that works best for your needs. Machines can even be built with different sequences. Right now we have the belt first, waterjet, laser, even parts that come off of a plasma. You put a more aggressive aggregate on for your belt, and you can knock off that dross. But if you have the need to use those deslagging pins that I showed you previously, you can actually have the machine built to your specific needs where you would have the top brush unit first, outfit it with the deslagging cleats, abrasive belt, edge rounding, whatever your need is, we can certainly build the machine to your needs. But again, this is the most popular 43 and 4 head. So what I'd like to do now is I'll run a part through and you can see the process, and I will actually use all the working units to show you that we can deburr, edge round, and grain all in the same pass. We sell the finishing machine as a standalone. We also sell the system, the turnkey system, which includes the ducting and also the appropriately sized dust collection system. Before I run that part, Carrie, if we could walk back to the other side, and I'll show the dust collector that we have here. This is a 4800 CFM dust collector, and it's a wet dust collection system. That gives you the ability to process multiple materials within the dry finishing system by safely capturing the dust with water. Wet dust is safe dust. What happens is that the dust will enter into this dust collection unit. There is a 15-horse fan, creates air movement, creates water turbulence. That mist captures the dust. The dust will then settle into the dust collection system as sludge. So again, gives you the ability to safely capture the dust that's generated within the dry finishing system. Here we have a part that I'm going to run through. This was cut on our laser. This part, with the calipers, 59 thou. Let me show you how to use the auto part measurement tool. On this side of the system, there is a tool where you simply place your part underneath. We'll go back to the HMI. Caliper icon, engage the part thickness measurement tool, tables in motion. It's going to the point where the top surface hits the limit switch, and as you can see, we're at 58 thou. So now, our machine is automatically calibrated to this particular part thickness. Now for running this part, I'm going to show you that you can actually use all the working units for this part to deburr, edge round, and then grain. We're going to keep our speed at 4 feet per minute. We'll keep our abrasive belt at 1,400 surface feet per minute, our belt RPM at 800. One thing I need to do though is to set immersion. The top brushes, if you were just to put them to 0, it would be the top surface of the part, but I want to drive those brushes down into the part to hit any of the lateral burrs or the edge so I can soften that as well. We're going to change that to 10 thou. Now the brushes are in motion, going lower than the top surface of the part to get those edges. I'm going to use this icon here to turn on our vacuum table. That will be our dust collector, and I'll put that on once I get the machine into operation. You must turn on the conveyor table in order to engage any of the working units. Turn that on, deburring head, edge rounding, graining, engage. FINISHLINE also has a system that's a motorized lift of the R unit, another fantastic production-friendly feature that allows you to drop the conveyor, the contact roller to the perfect elevation for the top surface of the part. No manual adjustment is necessary, so you're saving a tremendous amount of time, plus your accuracy is improved. You can save belt thickness in the machine, so therefore it knows exactly how low to go. Now I'll turn on the dust collector. Now I'll run the part through. Want to trail it? On each of the working units, there's also an amp meter that shows you how aggressively you're driving that media into the part. There's a section green, yellow, and red. We've just entered and going through the deburring process. Now we're at the first edge rounding brush. We're processing through the second top brush cartridge. Now we're entering into the graining head. Beautiful finish achieved. Again, that shows you how flexible the machine is and how you're able to take advantage of all the working units in a single pass. When we do a machine installation, there's also a training session that's associated with it as well. We'll run your parts, make sure that you're comfortable, all your operators are comfortable with the finishing machine. We've actually created an optimal parameters worksheet. It allows you to hit the ground running. The way this sheet works is that our columns are based on material. Our rows are based on the application that you're looking to do. So each of those sections will have optimal parameters, but then also on the bottom row, you have an actual combination of parameters to be able to run a combination of working units, say deburring and edge rounding at a single point in time as well. Again, we leave this in addition to the instruction manual, and we run through this during the process of the training session. Again, we stay until your operators are comfortable, and we run your part so you know you're going to be able to achieve the finish that you're looking for. At this point, I'd like to open it up to any questions that you might have.
All right, John, this was emailed in. What is the minimum and maximum part thickness that can be processed?
The minimum part thickness is 20 thou, and the maximum is 6 inches. So the nice thing about having that wide throat of 6 inches is that, say you have a part that's not flat, it's not 2D. We've actually run parts for customers, as an example, a cap to a conduit. We've created fixtures. So with the wide throat opening, we could lower that table lower to accept the fixture and also the top cap for that particular conduit, giving you additional flexibility with the processing of finish line parts.
We have a question from Corey who's watching. What is involved in switching between materials, say from stainless to aluminum?
As I showed with the brushes, what you would have to do is pull out that top cartridge, remove each of those brushes. You want to keep your media specific to material, so you'd have a set of brushes for your steel as an example, and then a set of brushes for aluminum, and also for then stainless steel. And also for the belts, it would be a process of releasing the air pressure, removing that rosette, sliding that out, and then pulling the entire belt out and then sliding the new one back in. Relatively quickly, you can swap out the entire set of media to then process a different material type.
We have another question here. What holds the workpiece to the belt as it processes through the equipment?
Great question. FINISHLINE actually has pinch rollers, contact rollers that are set 5 thou approximately lower than the contact rollers. Their purpose is to continue to hold that part onto the table. Distance between pinch rollers in the widest area is roughly, say, about 10, 11 inches. But what we also offer is the optional vacuum table. Vacuum table allows you to safely process parts that are 4 inches by 4 inches, and that depends on number of perforations within your part. But we've been able to process parts much smaller than that as well. There's a magnetic table option, which is 2 inches by 2 inches for the smallest part for your processing needs.
We had another question here. What is the estimated time for a new operator to learn this machine?
Our training session starts as soon as we get the machine installed. It's a day, could be a day and a half. Again, we stay and we want to make sure that you're comfortable. Somebody who hasn't operated any machinery that's similar to this, probably about a day and a half to maybe 2 days to make sure that you feel comfortable. And again, we stay, we address any questions that you have as we're processing your parts. We're available by phone, FaceTime. We actually, again, we have that cheat sheet, the Bible, if you will, for parameter settings. So we definitely want to give you as many and as much resources as possible so that you feel comfortable as quickly as you possibly can.
We have one more question here. Corey said, thanks for that. Do you have to do anything with the dust collector when changing between materials?
You don't. The water will capture that material. When you dispose of that material, you should follow the NFPA 484 requirements, mixing it with some inert material, and also possibly check any local requirements that you have in your area. But again, with that wet dust collection system, you're safely capturing the different materials. But again, on disposal, you want to consult with any requirements that you might have in your particular area.
Okay, we have one here. Do you supply the media, and what would you say the approximate longevity is?
We do. We do supply the media. That's another matter of convenience that we like to offer to our customers. We have a wide range of the brushes on the shelf, available for quick turn, quick get it in the mail and get it to you as fast as possible. We also have resources that source and inventory belts. Longevity, it's always an interesting question. There's so many variables that tie into that, but as a ballpark, as a matter of fact, I just had a conversation with one of our customers. They run thousands of parts a day, and they just told me that their abrasive belt, which is a Hermes belt that we supply, they run for 4 to 5 days and then before swap out. But again, we're talking thousands of parts that are processed during the course of the day. Again, it's going to vary with how aggressive the burr is, how aggressively you need to hit it. if you're using 80 grit, or if you're using, say, a 220 on your finishing side. One thing I also failed to mention is that you can actually run Scotch-Brite material or V-Brax belts on your graining head. So again, wide flexibility, but also getting back to the longevity of your brushes. Might sound like a wide window, but again, it all depends on the variables. 400 to 800 working hours that you could see out of the longevity for these edge rounding and lateral burr removal brushes. Our customers are seeing to the 800 and actually exceeding that as well.
Okay, we have another question. Is there a way to keep the part in the correct direction when putting in the grain?
What you would need to do is identify exactly what orientation that you would need the part to run through for graining, because it is going to be a linear pattern. So that's another fantastic idea of the contact rollers and also the vacuum table. It's going to ensure that your part stays true as you've placed it onto the table.
That's all that's coming through now. Let me check to see if there's any others.
All right, we're checking for any more questions. All right, looks like that concludes the presentation. Once again, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And again, thank you to Mid-Atlantic Machinery, Southern States Machinery, Northeast for hosting this event and being able to allow us to present the benefits of Finish Line. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to your sales representative in those territories. We'd be glad to address any of the questions. Also, please know we're open and we'd be glad to run sample parts. So please ship them in. We'll run them on the machine. We'll be able to more accurately represent, or identify, I should say, the appropriate machine for you, and then you'll get to see before purchase that we can achieve the finish you're looking for.